Right, let's attempt to rejoin that conversation now on the state of the Nelson Mandela municipality. Of course, I'm joined by Tukela Zumani, the leader of Mayibuye Civic movement, an organization that has been vocal about the city's service delivery failures. And he's also joined by Lawrence Troon, who's the councillor for Good Party in the Nelson Mandela Bay. Gentlemen, welcome back. Let's hope second time around things will be a bit better. Let's go back to you then, Tukela, because you are still explaining the position of Mayibuye on this particular matter. And of course, you had said that you're in full support that the mayor must go.
Thank you very much, Andy. So the position of removal of the mayor and her entire executive stands firm. The residents of the Nelson Mandela Bay are suffering. The levels of service delivery have been declining over the past couple of years, but more so in the past couple of months that Babalwa Lobishe has been the executive mayor. The reality is that in as much as we'd like to see consistency in the office of, or continuancy in the office of the executive mayor and that of the city manager, we cannot keep an executive mayor simply for the sake of keeping an executive mayor. Councillor Babalwa Lobishe has repeatedly demonstrated that she lacks both the political will and the executive capacity to lead this city out of the downward spiral that it's currently heading into. We see that in the lack of service delivery, but most glaringly, we see it in the ever climbing crime rate in the Nelson Mandela Bay. And our executive mayor has not been seen in any of the instances where she has been needed the most. Now, Mayibuye has been writing repeatedly, and I believe over the past 6 weeks, we've written 5 different letters bringing to the attention of the executive mayor and the city manager, whoever it may be at the time, because there's a revolving door. We're bringing to their attention numerous issues that affect the residents of Nelson Mandela Bay, some of which are in relation to gross maladministration amounting to the hundreds of millions. Councillor Babalwa Lobishe has been unresponsive to the plight of the residents of Nelson Mandela Bay, and we cannot have that. We as the Mayibuye Civic movement, and I believe the public in general in Nelson Mandela Bay, deserve more and we demand more.
Mr. Zumani, I'll ask you the same question perhaps that I had posed to Lawrence Troon a bit earlier on. Is this a Babalwa Lobishe issue? Because we've seen the same problems plaguing the metro under different mayors over the last 2 years, and it seems no matter who's occupying that seat, the problems do continue. Is it not perhaps time to look at what the actual issue is there to try and address it to make sure that whoever occupies that seat, that problem is resolved in the metro?
Absolutely correct. If your statement is that the problems of the Nelson Mandela Bay are far deeper than who occupies the mayor's office, I would absolutely agree with you on that one. But the reality is that the person who occupies the mayor's office is charged with the responsibility of turning around the city. And what we are currently saying right now as the residents of the Nelson Mandela Bay is that we have no confidence that the person who is currently occupying the office of the mayor has the political will or the executive capacity to turn around the city. Now, the problems themselves are not unique to the Nelson Mandela Bay. You will find that in many of the metros, if not all, of the metros in South Africa, similar challenges are experienced. There's a downward slope in terms of service delivery. There's a downward trajectory in terms of development of all the local economies in those municipalities. And there's definitely a high, fast increasing crime rate in all of these municipalities. But the reality is that someone has to take charge. The residents of the Nelson Mandela Bay have the responsibility to call a person out if they are not executing their responsibilities correctly. And Councillor Babalwa Lobishe has obviously demonstrated that she is not executing her role correctly. Now, we could go on and on in terms of what the operational issues are. Each and every executive director, whether they are acting or they are permanently employed is or has their finger in one or the other pie in the municipalities. I challenge each and every one of them.
I actually want to opine or maybe step in that regard, because you have flagged these issues previously. In fact, there was a letter that you had wrote to them on the 10th of March asking for some of these deviations and particularly the procurement processes to be investigated. And you had said in light of the concerns, you wanted them to present a comprehensive report on all the deviations used in the last 3 years at the council's next meeting. Has that happened? Are you anywhere closer to determining why it is that the deviations happened and perhaps the extent of the problem over the last 3 years in the report that you had requested?
Thank you very much for that question. The answer is not at all. There's been absolutely no response from the executive mayor or the city manager. Now, the letter in question is a very important one because it speaks of a complete disregard of the processes and regulations that are put in place to make sure that the public purse is spent in a manner that is both beneficial to the residents of the Nelson Mandela Bay, but also above all challenges of the law. The Nelson Mandela Bay municipality is in the majority of cases dependent on deviation. This means that they are using all other means apart from the legislated public procurement regulations. And in South Africa, we have a word for that, Andy. It's called state capture. And that's exactly what the municipality in Nelson Mandela Bay is under. It is a state that is captured. Now, if 90% of the contracts awarded in the municipality are through deviations, it suggests that the majority of the businesses in the city are kept out of the city's economy. But over and above that, a minority is favored and is gaining preference or is gaining an advantage over the spending of the municipality. And that on its own suggests that something has to be done. The question that Councillor Lawrence Troon has raised to the council is the executive mayor the right person to make sure that whatever has to be done to rectify this situation, is she the right person to do it? And Mayibuye stands firm to say she is not.
All right, let's get the closing comments then from Mr. Lawrence Troon. Unfortunately, we haven't had enough time to delve into some of the issues, Lawrence, but in closing then, should you not get your wish, should the mayor then still remain within her position, what's the next move for the good party?
Okay, firstly, and let's just say this, man, that a part of the problem also here is the MEC like of Kokta, because he is also like contributing to all of the chaos here. You must remember in December of like 2024, he wrote to the speaker and he told the speaker that he wants like the report on the deputy mayor. And he said that if he gets the report on the deputy mayor, he would deal with it within 7 days. It's 4 months now. To understand, so it's clear that this incompetence of the ANC is not only here within this region, but also within the the province. With regard to the motion, I don't care whether I win or lose. I've always said, if I lose, like in council, I'm winning in the streets of Nelson Mandela Bay. You must remember, this motion is not for me. This motion is on behalf of the residents of Nelson Mandela Bay. So yes, in council, there's only about like 120 councillors, but we've got thousands upon thousands of people in the streets. And for me, what I'm saying, I'm definitely sure within the streets of Nelson Mandela Bay, it will be a massive victory for us. I don't much worry what is going to happen in council. If we get them out, it's fine. If we don't, it does not really matter to me. But what we have done as a good party, we have exposed a person that was never supposed to be a mayor in the first place.
All right, Mr. Troon, that's where we'll leave it. That's Lawrence Troon, who is a councillor at the Nelson Mandela Bay for the Good Party, together with Tukela Zumani, who is the leader of the Mayibuye civil movement.